right, ma'am, you're trespassing. This is a private road.
It's a public easement. I run here 6 days a week.
Step back again and you're resisting.
I'm just giving you space. I'm an ER nurse training for a marathon.
Hands where I can see them.
I'm gonna call my
Don't
husband.
reach. Drop it now.
It's my phone. Setting it down. See? No weapon. Heart rate 160, respirations 22. I'm steady.
Hey, officer, she's just running. Take it.
They slammed a black woman against a tree in the middle of her own jogging trail. They said she fit the description. They grabbed her arm so hard she thought the bones snapped. But what they didn't know, what they had no idea about, was that this quiet, calm woman they mocked, this woman they treated like a criminal, was one of the highest-ranked emergency response specialists in the entire state. A woman who trained SWAT medics, trauma surgeons, and rescue teams. And when her real team arrived, the whole neighborhood froze. What happened next was something the officer who grabbed her will never forget. Before we jump in, make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit the bell because stories like this are real, raw, and needed. And drop a comment telling us where you're watching from. Now let's get into the story. Stop right there. Don't you move. The voice ripped through the quiet morning like a firecracker. Tiana Rowe froze mid-stride, one foot still lifted, her breath hanging in the cool Atlanta air. She was on mile 6 of her usual Saturday run, wearing bright neon running shorts, a thin hydration belt, and her hospital ID tucked under her shirt. But the shout made her turn. Officer Dean Whitford was already storming down the trail, hand on his holster, his jaw tight as if someone had insulted his whole family. Behind him, a middle-aged white man with a thick belly and a tiny terrier clutched the leash and pointed. "That's her. That's the one. I told you," the man yelled. "She's been circling the houses all morning." Tiana blinked. "What? I'm just running." Officer Whitford stepped right into her space. "Ma'am, put your hands where I can see them." "For running?" she asked, confused. "For trespassing," he snapped. "And for refusing a lawful stop." "I literally just stopped," she said. His eyes cut to her hydration belt. "What's in there?" "Electrolyte water." "Yeah," he growled. "We'll see." He grabbed her arm without warning, twisting it behind her back. "Hey!" Tiana gasped. Pain shot through her shoulder. "Stop resisting." "I'm not resisting." "Then stay still." He shoved her against the rough bark of a tree. The dog walker folded his arms smugly. "Knew it," he muttered under his breath. Tiana Rowe wasn't just any jogger. She was an ER nurse, one of the best, who had worked through mass shootings, pileups on the highway, and violent storms. But she didn't look like it right now. Sweaty from a long run, small frame, quiet face, old running shoes with ripped threading, hair pulled back in a simple puff, and eyes that always tried to believe the best in people. People often treated her like she was just another black woman in scrubs. What they never saw was the truth. She was the lead disaster response instructor for the entire region. She trained firefighting units, EMT crews, and sometimes even federal rescue teams. She had pulled people from collapsed buildings. She had saved officers, soldiers, and civilians from dying on floors covered in blood. But right now none of that mattered. Because to these two men, she was just someone who didn't belong. She took a slow breath. "Focus. Remain calm. Don't escalate. Stay alive." Officer Whitford pinned her harder. "I said show me your ID. It's under my shirt. Can I reach for it?" "No," he barked. "You move again, I'll cuff you." "For what?" she asked, voice struggling between fear and disbelief. "For acting suspicious." Behind him, Colin Mertz, the dog walker, shook his head dramatically like a disappointed teacher. "You people always think the rules don't apply," he said. "You people." Tiana felt her stomach drop. There it was. The real reason. "I live near here," she said softly. "I run this trail almost every day." "Sure you do," the officer sneered. He inspected her hydration belt again. "What's this pouch for?" "Energy gel." "Could be drugs." Tiana blinked. "Seriously? You questioning me?" he growled, stepping closer again. His face hovered inches from hers. She held her breath. "Calm. Stay calm. Do not give them a reason." "I'm going to call my husband," she whispered. "You reach for anything," Officer Whitford barked, "and I swear. I'm just calling him so he knows where I am." She lifted her hand slowly. Whitford yanked her arm again, slamming her shoulder against the tree. "I said don't move." Tiana cried out in pain. The officer's body cam blinked red, recording everything. Colin Mertz watched like it was entertainment. "Bet she gives a fake name," he muttered. "They always do." Tiana looked around desperately. Several runners had stopped at the edge of the trail. Some whispered. Some pulled out phones. None stepped in. her face flushed with humiliation. 6 miles into a peaceful morning run, now she was being treated like a criminal, like less than a person, like a threat, and she knew exactly why. "Officer," she said through clenched teeth, "please. You're hurting me." Should have listened the first time. Her vision blurred for a second. Pain. Fear. That familiar sting of being judged before you even speak. She swallowed her pride and whispered, "My name is Tiana Rowe. Don't care. I'm an ER nurse. You think that makes you special? No. I'm just trying to explain." Whitford snorted. "Lady, I've been doing this job long enough to know when someone's lying. And right now, you're lying." Then he reached for his radio. "Dispatch, this is Officer Whitford, badge 44 to 91. I have a possible suspect refusing to comply. Send backup." "Backup?" Tiana cried. "For what?" But he ignored her. Colin nodded approval. "That's right. Get her out of here. We don't want her kind running around scaring people." Tiana closed her eyes. She wanted to cry. She wanted to scream. She wanted to run away. But she did none of those things. She simply said, "Sir, you don't understand who I am." Whitford scoffed. "Lady, I know exactly who you are." But he didn't. Not even close. Far off, down the long trail, a sharp, distant rumble began rising. A roar. Engines. Multiple. Tiana recognized the sound instantly. Her heart jumped. No, they didn't. Whitford didn't seem to notice. He was too busy barking orders. "On your knees. Hands behind your head." "I can't," she whispered. "My arm. Now." And then, the roar became thunder. 4 large black emergency trucks came speeding down the access road next to the trail. They screeched to a stop, kicking dust into the air. Doors flew open. 12 paramedics in tactical emergency gear, helmets, vests, radios, jumped out and sprinted toward the scene. Their leader shouted, "Where is she? Where is Chief Rowe?" Officer Whitford froze. Rowe. The paramedics rushed forward, parting like a wave. And right through the middle of them came a tall woman with a stern face, salt and pepper braids, and a command jacket with 3 silver bars on the chest. Deputy Director Marlene Grayson, head of Regional Crisis Response and Tiana's mentor. She pointed straight at the officer. "You," she barked. "Let go of her. Now." Whitford blinked. "What? Who are you?" Marlene stepped so close their badges nearly touched. "I'm the woman who trained half the medics that save your officers' lives," she snapped. "And the woman whose chief instructor you just assaulted." Whitford's mouth fell open. "See, Chief, what?" Marlene nodded at Tiana with fierce worry in her eyes. "That woman you're manhandling is Chief Trauma Specialist Tiana Rowe, one of the highest-ranked medical commanders in this state, and your officer's emergency contact when you get shot." The silence was complete. Colin's jaw dropped. Whitford's hand slid off his holster. Runners whispered in disbelief. Tiana just breathed, finally free. "Officer Whitford," Marlene said slowly, "your body cam better have all of that." Whitford swallowed. I just thought she looked Say it," Marlene snapped. "She looked what?" Whitford's eyes darted. Colin stepped back, palms sweating. "I didn't know who she was," Whitford muttered. "You didn't ask," Marlene said. "You assumed." Tiana stood quietly, holding her sore shoulder. "And now," Marlene continued, "you are being placed under administrative investigation for detainment without cause, assault, racial profiling, and obstruction of emergency personnel." Whitford's face drained of color. "What? No, wait, Marlene held up a hand. "Save it. It's all on camera." Paramedics circled protectively around Tiana, a shield of loyalty and respect. Colin backed away, muttering, "This whole thing is ridiculous. She shouldn't have been running here." Marlene spun toward him. "Sir, if you don't leave this trail in the next 10 seconds, you'll be cited for false reporting." Colin fled with his dog. Whitford stood alone. Exposed. Shaking. Defeated. Paramedic Lyle Porter, a young man with freckles and trembling hands, checked Tiana's arm gently. "Chief, you okay? We got your distress ping. You scared the hell out of us." Tiana tried to smile. But her voice cracked. "I didn't call anyone." Marlene exhaled hard. "Your watch did," she said softly. "Triggered when your heart rate spiked from fear." Tiana looked away, tears finally slipping out. "I was just jogging," she whispered. Marlene wrapped an arm around her shoulder. "And you should never have been treated like anything less than who you are." Tiana looked at Whitford, really looked at him, her eyes steady, calm, but forever changed. She said, not in anger but in truth. You didn't hurt me because you didn't know who I was. You hurt me because you didn't care. Whitford lowered his head. No reply. No excuse. No badge big enough to hide behind anymore. The wind in the trees felt different now. Not soft. Not peaceful. But heavy, as if even the leaves understood what had just happened. Tiana stood surrounded by her people, her team, yet somehow felt unbearably alone. Trauma wasn't always blood and broken bones. Sometimes it was the quiet ache of being treated like you didn't belong in your own skin. Officer Whitford stood 10 feet away, stiff as a statue, the weight of what he'd done hitting him like a slow-moving truck. But this wasn't over. Not even close. More runners stopped. More walkers. Neighbors from the houses lining the trail stepped out onto porches, trying to pretend they weren't rubbernecking. Phones pointed. Whispers spread. That's the nurse who saved those kids after the bus crash. I've seen her on the news. Wait, she's the trauma chief? Tiana couldn't hear everything, but she heard enough. She wiped her face, straightened her back, tried to reclaim the tiny pieces of dignity left scattered across the dirt. Marlene Grayson turned toward the officer again, eyes sharp as cut glass. Officer Whitford, she said, hand me your badge. Whitford blinked. Sorry? What? Your badge, she repeated slowly, and your weapon. Now. He swallowed hard. You can't order that. I can, she said calmly, because Chief Rowe is a registered medical commander with state authority during emergency operations. And you just assaulted her during an active duty morning she was on call. Which means you obstructed a state responder. The officer's face drained. That's not. Marlene cut him off. The supervising captain is already on his way. And if you don't hand over your badge in the next 5 seconds, I'll call the media myself. Gasp. Murmurs. A few phones recording zoomed in closer. Whitford hesitated, then slowly unclipped his badge and handed it over. It landed in Marlene's palm with a dull metal clink that rang louder than any siren. Tiana stepped aside, needing space to breathe. Her hands shook. Her knees felt weak. She sat on a fallen log near the trail, the morning sun warming her face, but she still felt cold. Lyle knelt beside her. Chief, can you move your shoulder? She tried. Pain shot through her arm. Lyle's jaw tightened. He twisted it too hard. Might be a rotator cuff strain. Tiana stared at the dirt. What was I even doing wrong, Lyle? Just running. Just existing. He looked away, ashamed. You didn't do anything wrong. Then why did it feel like I was the problem? He had no answer. No one ever did. A police SUV pulled up fast. The door swung open, and out stepped a broad-shouldered white man in his 50s with a grim, weathered face. Captain Ross Danning. He took one look at the scene and cursed under his breath. Whitford, what did you do? Whitford stammered. Cap, I thought she was a suspect. Someone called it in. Danning's eyes slid to Tiana, then to her tactical medical team, then to Marlene holding the surrendered badge. Oh God, he whispered. Chief Rowe. He rushed to Tiana. Ma'am, Chief, I am so sorry. I know you. You're the one who patched up Officer Burley when he got stabbed last year. Tiana nodded faintly. Yeah, I was. Danning exhaled, devastated. We owe you. Whitford stared, stunned. You know her? Danning turned slowly. Whitford, every officer in this district knows Chief Rowe. She's the reason half our department is still alive. She runs disaster response training. She's treated officers after shootings, crashes, everything. Whitford's face crumbled. I didn't know. That's the problem. Danning snapped. You didn't ask. The captain motioned to Whitford. You will apologize. Right now. Whitford swallowed hard. He turned toward Tiana, who still sat quietly, staring at the ground. He stepped closer. His voice cracked. I'm sorry. I judged you before you said a word. I thought you looked out of place. Tiana met his eyes. What part of me looked out of place? Whitford hesitated. The silence demanded honesty. My bias, he finally admitted. It wasn't you. It was me. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Few officers ever said something like that, especially on camera. Tiana felt tears prick her eyes again, not from pain this time, but from the raw truth of hearing a confession she never expected. Captain Danning took control. Officer Whitford, you are officially relieved of duty pending investigation. Whitford's breath caught. Cap, please don't. This isn't optional. Danning pointed to the arriving internal affairs car. They're here for you. Whitford's hands shook as two IA officers approached. Colin, the dog walker, watched from behind a tree, eyes wide with fear that his own lie might catch up to him next. Danning turned to him. Sir, did you make the 911 call? Colin froze. I mean yes, but I thought. You racially profiled her too, Danning said. You'll be receiving a citation for false reporting and harassment. Colin stuttered. Then he stepped back and bolted up the path with his dog, practically tripping over his own feet. Some runners laughed bitterly. Others shook their heads. Justice was rare. But today, it showed up. Marlene approached Tiana again. You want to go to the hospital? She asked gently. Tiana shook her head. No, not yet. She stood slowly, cradling her shoulder. The pain was sharp, but she pushed through it. She walked toward Whitford, who was now sitting in the back of the IA car, hands shaking, eyes red. He looked up when he saw her. Chief Rowe. I swear I didn't mean. Tiana raised a hand to stop him. Officer Whitford, she said softly, I don't want revenge. I'm not here to ruin your life. He blinked. But I need you to understand something. She leaned forward slightly, voice steady. Next time you see someone who looks like me, don't see a threat. Don't see a criminal. Just see a person. Please. That's all. Whitford nodded, tears slipping down his cheek. I'll try. I swear. Tiana nodded once, then stepped away. Not forgiveness. Not yet. But a chance. Her crew gathered around her again. Lau spoke first. Chief, you want us to take you home? She nodded. Yeah. I'm done running for today. Marlene placed a comforting hand on her back. We're with you, kid. Always. The team loaded into their trucks. Tiana climbed into the passenger seat of Marlene's vehicle. For the first time in her entire career, she felt fragile. Not weak. Not broken. But human. And sometimes, humanity hurt. Marlene drove slowly. You know, she said quietly, you didn't deserve that. Tiana stared out the window. No. But I knew it could happen. Marlene sighed. Then why'd you run alone? Tiana swallowed. Because running makes me feel free. And I guess, I forgot freedom scares some people. Marlene nodded slowly. You gonna stop running? Tiana shook her head lightly. No. I'm gonna run again. On that same trail. Maybe next week. Maybe with more people. But I'm not letting fear pick my routes. Marlene smiled in that tough, motherly way she had. That's my girl. The sun was setting by the time they pulled into Tiana's driveway. She stepped out, shoulders still throbbing but her spirit firm. Before going inside, she paused at the walkway. Marlene watched her. You okay? She asked. Tiana nodded. She looked back at the trail in the distance. Then she said the words that would stay with everyone who heard this story. Some people see a black woman running and think she's running from something. She touched her sore shoulder. But the truth is, I run toward life, toward hope, toward saving people. She took a shaky breath. And no matter what they do, I won't stop running. Marlene nodded, eyes soft with pride. Good, she said. Because the world needs people like you. And with that, Tiana walked inside, slow, hurting but unbroken. A quiet hero. A fighter. A survivor. And now, a symbol. If you've made it this far, make sure you subscribe to the channel for more intense and powerful stories like this. And tell me in the comments, should Officer Whitford get his job back, or should he be fired forever? I can create it.